guys, this is Danielle from empoweredreadings.com. Hope you guys had a good week. I am going to make this reading a little bit shorter than normal. I've been really busy this week. And I'm also just going to draw the cards for each pile during the pile. The question I want to center this around is, what is happening in your life right now and what guidance can the angels give to you right now? Yeah, so with that in mind, I'll let you go to the pile selection and choose your card. If you've never done a pick a card reading before, here's what you're going to do. So first you're going to start by grounding yourself by taking 4 deep breaths. You breathe in air from above your head down through your nose until it reaches your core or your stomach, and then you release it out your mouth slowly. And you do this 4 times just to make sure that you're getting a good airflow and it doesn't feel super forced. It's really good to do this so that you're more in connection with your body, more in tune with your body, more grounded, and that will help the reading resonate with you and help you pick a pile for you. From there, you're going to go and read the question that I'll have there and ask yourself that, and then just look at each pile. It could be the crystal that catches your eye, the deck that catches your eye, or you can even go to the timestamps and look at the numbers. Maybe one stands out to you or just feels important. Go for that one. Some people do pick more than one pile. I try to keep it no more than 2, but it's up to you, whatever resonates. All right, I'll let you take your 4 deep breaths now, and I'll see you in your readings. Hello there, pile 1. You guys chose this piece of Caribbean calcite, which you might be able to see has so many really neat lines and everything in it. I really like it. I recently just got it. And for whatever reason, I'm feeling really called to explain some of the reasons why you might have been attracted to this crystal. It's really good for connecting you to your higher self. That would really help you with feeling more calm, less anxiety, being more aligned with your intuition, more connected with yourself. Help you with opening up your crown chakra and your 3rd eye. So despite the fact that it isn't the color of those chakras, that is actually what this crystal is known for working with. If you do have communication blocks, I also think would be a great crystal for that, just because it is going to connect you with your higher self and your inner guidance and what's best for you, and speaking your truth, knowing what your truth is. So I do think that's really good too. Also, just on the note that it is known for being good for lucid dreaming. I don't know if everyone agrees with this out there, probably not, but for me, what I really like to see in crystals that are good for people who lucid dream a lot is seeing that there's like fibers or almost like lines within the crystal that helps anchor a person to their bodies. Is kind of how I see it. And I don't think everyone would agree with that statement, but I've just noticed that crystals that usually have a quality that people recognize or recommend for lucid dreaming has like those little lines in it. It's not like a smooth, clear crystal. That usually has something that literally in its structure would help you be anchored down. If you're wondering what is lucid dreaming, there's lots of different things out there, but I find there's a lot of people who lucid dream and don't even realize it. If you are someone who constantly have like jump scares in your dreams, if you die, if you're running away suddenly and you would wake up and you're like slammed back into your body and you're running, or your heart's beating really fast, that's actually a sign that you're lucid dreaming and your body's trying to scare itself to make sure your soul comes back fully in your body. On rare occasions, people like it's never going to be your whole soul, but sometimes there's like little fragments of your soul that can kind of get confused on how to come back. I don't want that to scare anybody because it's not that common, but it is something that can happen, and that's just why they say if you are a lucid dreamer, it's good to have a crystal to anchor you back to your body. And obviously, if you go see a practitioner, they should be able to help you with that and just reintegrating that piece of your soul that's just kind of like having fun out there floating around. It just, think about it, if you go into a forest and you don't have a map, sometimes you might get lost and you might need help getting back. That's just basically all it is. So don't worry about that too much. That's my spiel about that crystal. I can't really say why, I just felt it was really important to mention that. So without further ado, we are going to draw some cards and get started with your actual reading. Okay, pile one. So right off I want to point out, it's funny, I saw dreams here, and I was seeing the crown chakra coming up, and then you've got some blues, and it's really just showing that you picking this pile was really good. You're really listening to your intuition. You're really growing, because honestly, this crystal is so, like what I just explained it means is so accurate with this card reading here. It's starting to listen to that deeper inner higher knowings and reconnecting. I feel like even with the wisdom within yourself, you guys have had a lot of experience with certain things. It is a general card reading. I think it's just speaking of life experience in general. I think you guys kind of had a life where there was some difficulties in it that you've overcome, and they're saying, honestly, I really feel like they're trying to give you a pat on the back, like saying you've done really good, you've done so well, but now it's time for you to just keep going deeper with that connection with yourself and really getting to know yourself. And it really feels important that it's your higher self that they want you to really reconnect with. I have noticed that during, or I shouldn't say during, but since COVID, the angels and the guides and the universe, whoever it is that you choose to have as your guides or your belief systems, have been really focused on you going within yourself to find the answers versus going outside of yourself to find the answers. If you're someone who often, like, it's good to have support systems and friends and family, and that's great, but I know that sometimes some of us, when we get overwhelmed or we're not sure what's the best thing to do, we can go and ask our family, friends, kind of for their advice, and that is a good thing, but sometimes people will put too much weight on going with what their family member thinks is right. It's better if you have someone who is just gonna let you say, like, verbally figure it out if you're someone who's more of a verbal processor, but you don't really want someone coming in and telling you what you should do or shouldn't do. And I think this group has really started to do that for themselves. I don't know if you notice that you're doing it more, or maybe you're like, I always have done that. Well, they're saying good job. Like, they really like seeing that. It's really important. It's really good. It's really gonna help you be basically the best person you can be. And I think for some of you, it's gonna help you find things that make you more excited again. There is a message here about taking time to do the things you love. If you're kind of like, what does that mean? I honestly see it as people who do a lot of the work, you get a lot of things done, you do a lot of great things for other people, you're very, I think, reliable and accountable for yourself and your actions and making sure things are done. But it's almost saying that is amazing that you do that. But if you've been feeling a bit bored, or you're like going through the repetition of things, you're starting to notice that things, you can almost predict what's going to happen, like when you go to work or when you're with a certain person. And they're just saying that now's like a really good time for you to go a little bit outside of your comfort zone and do something that isn't predictable or you aren't used to doing. And it's just going to kind of like revamp that inspiration for life, that like excitement for life, like feeling like a kid when you're going tobogganing and you're going really fast. It's just like being in the moment and so thrilled, and it's a little uncomfortable, but it's also so great. I don't know if that's a good reference. Them really wanting you to really appreciate yourself and honor yourself and set aside time for yourself. I hope I'm expressing that quite right. They really have a gentle energy about it. They're like, you're just very beautiful, lovely people. You're very kind-hearted. You give a lot of love out. You help a lot of people. I feel like you kind of take on other people's stuff because you're like, oh, I don't mind, and I really like helping them, and I know how to do it, which is a really nice thing for you to do. But I just see them saying, oh, they just really want you to see how important it is for you to have so much fun and have that extra time and feel lighter. Yeah. And then I do just like some of these little things about saying luck, dignity, dreams, love. And if some of you are like, I'm in a relationship right now, I don't understand why Cupid card's coming up. It is just saying that something's shifted within this pile one, where something has clicked within you, some revelation, something has resonated with you. You've realized either a limiting belief or something that's previously held you back from being more open to feeling deserving of love, or maybe you weren't giving yourself time. Something like that has changed. And there actually is just another card saying that they're really proud of you for taking the first steps. They want you to keep going that way, keep doing whatever you're doing. And I think a lot of it has to do with realizing that you're very important. You deserve it. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be happy. And everything you've put out at other people, you equally deserve back. So I think for some of you, it could just be that your relationship you're currently in is kind of stepping into, I always like saying, like a higher conscious relationship where it's still the same person, but something within it is making it rise to a deeper, higher level. So it could be that you connect better. Maybe you're both working through some blocks. You're getting better at communication. I think that is important for this group. Something around communication is really important. I think it is, in the most positive sense, like you're learning how to express yourself better. And I think that's come from like a healing block. Like you guys maybe have previously felt like it wasn't safe to say no to people, or it could have cost you the love of other people or something around that. And you're starting to realize, or you've had the realization that that's not true. And it was just like a way that someone made you feel at some point in your life, and you're starting to step away from that. Yeah, I honestly, overall, I keep seeing that this is just a really like good job reading. Good job. Don't stop. You're doing it. You're doing so good, and they're so proud of you. This being said, I think they might even want you to have the awareness that in your dreams you could be lucid dreaming, and it's not that maybe, like I was kind of saying at the start, it's not that you are like going to be missing parts of your soul or anything necessarily, but because that occasionally can happen, your guides and your angels right away are going to be like, hey, let's get you a crystal, put it at the end of your bed, and that way we're sure you're always coming back. And it also may make it so that you don't come back so harshly. So it could also be because you have dreams that upset you. They do usually have to be pretty shocking to make sure you come back. It's kind of like that flight or flight thing. If your body feels in fear, your physical body, your soul is going to come right back and make sure it's okay. So that's why, if you're wondering, man, why do I get such horrible messages in dreams? I actually think for this pile, most of them are going to be related to just making sure that you're fully back in your body and you're safe. It's actually something I believe your higher self does for you, but it could be, I'm sure that's another thing where everyone has their own opinion on that. I'm sure guides also do help with that. That being said, if you also have animals that randomly jump on you in the middle of the night and wake you up, cats specifically are really good at noticing this and will do that to make sure that you come back. So if you're also wondering why your cat does that, it could be because it's sensing that your soul's been gone for a bit and it understands that you need the help to come back fully. Yeah, that's my little rant about that. Let's see what else is here. I keep wanting to read the back of this card. It says, just in the front, I'm not sure if you all can read it. Before you can heal others, you first have to heal yourself. And today, be mindful of how often you judge others. In recognizing why you see others in a negative light, you discover the fears that you need to heal in yourself. Ooh, so you might have seen some of my other card picking videos, but this is actually something that I think I heard it in a podcast or I read it in a book or something, and it was one of those things when someone said this to me, it like hit me hard, and I was like, this is so accurate. I can see where this is happening in my life, where they're saying we all live in our own perspective, our own bias. We can't truly understand what someone else is going through unless we communicate and ask them all the questions and really are curious and understand it. So our brains are really good at assuming and putting together information that we don't have. It's nothing that just your brain's doing. All our brains do this. It wants to put it in a thing we can understand. So the best way I look at it is at work. Usually we all have someone at work where there's something about them we don't like. And if we really think about it, usually there isn't something they've done to us to make us dislike them. We just don't like them. They have some characteristic that's their main personality trait that we just don't like, but if we reflect on it, it's usually the thing within ourselves that we're trying to suppress, we're least proud of. So my example was working in the service industry. There was a girl at the restaurant who's so sure that she deserves like the most money, the biggest tips. She just straight up asks for it. If someone passes her 50, she'd just take it. And in my mind, I'm like, who can do that? That's just so greedy. Who is she? Like, who does she think she is? She's so entitled. And then after I heard this about how we can only see what's within ourselves and others, I was like, oh gosh, that's 100% it. That side of me, I'm so ashamed of. I feel like I shouldn't ever ask for money. I shouldn't be accepting of like money like that. It's not okay. This is all limiting beliefs within myself that I think that it's just so unacceptable and so wrong. And because her main personality trait was the thing I truly disliked the most about myself, about ever even like being tempted by something like that, I couldn't handle her. And the moment I realized that and realized, I remember thinking in my head, like, I'm so sorry, you did not deserve this. This is a me issue. Whatever reason, I never had a problem with that person again. And I saw the other girls at work who also didn't like her were the same. I think it was okay. It was very greedy, it was very selfish, very entitled to just take what they wanted or just be so accepting of it and saying exactly what they wanted so directly. And it's just crazy to me that it just took that for me to realize that it was my own beliefs on what was right and what was wrong, my own fears. So if that applies to you anywhere in your life, reflect on that a little bit, because although we may not love that might be true, it actually creates way more harmony and peace in our life, because I don't know, anger and just dislike to that degree is so strong, and it feels like it's like getting the best of ourselves, and then when we know why, all of a sudden it just like it's like it just all gets released and let out. And it doesn't mean you're always going to love the person, but usually it means that you don't just can't handle tolerating them anymore. Yeah, so I don't know if that will help you, but just something to reflect on. Okay, so this other one here says, bless your difficulties and ask to see their hidden guidance. Have the courage to accept what you discover and to initiate whatever action your healing requires. Ooh, I always like the ones that have the mountains on it. So it says, ask for guidance in seeing the truth concealed in your personal challenges. Ooh, so I definitely think these cards are pretty well correlated. And I think there could be, for this pile, I think it's honestly a conflict with a colleague. I mean, I'm trying to keep my own ego out of it because for me it was usually a colleague, but I do think it's that, because I think this group just wouldn't hang out or spend time with people in their personal life or friends in their personal life if it is bothering them this much. Or that being said, it could be a sister or a parent where it's just always been there, so you've just accepted it. But I don't think it's going to be a non-family member personal friendship. I mean, obviously this is a general reading, there's always exceptions, but it just feels like this pile wouldn't be in a friendship like that. It's more like a family connection or a work connection, one where there is like that obligation to some extent to tolerate it. And it doesn't mean that you have to tolerate it from your family, but society usually makes us feel pressured that way. And seeing how this pile is very loving, caring, and nurturing, and like a helper, I don't think they're going to shun out their family members for this, but there would probably be a lot of friction there. I was saying, hopefully it made sense around understanding that there's a quality in someone you really don't like, or you just don't like them, or you get frustrated with them. It is saying, as hard as it might be, and as much as it can like hurt our ego, or how much like that, it's not our higher selves, it really is our ego. It's where the fear comes from, is telling us that it's because they're just like that, that's why you don't like them. The guides are really asking you to take a couple breaths and don't think that you are wrong or not okay to not like them, but just ask yourself the questions. Why is it? What is it about it? Is there a commonality between that characteristic and personality traits that you don't like within yourself? Is it something you were taught in society that makes you not think this person is good? It could be other things, but unfortunately, I think that's the main energy I'm seeing here. And then that being said, as soon as I said that, I am picking up that I honestly think whatever tension, or I feel like this could be, you know, when it is like a family member or a work issue, it does take up a lot of our personal time, our personal life, right? We can say what we want, but if we don't like something at work, that is where we spend a lot of time each day, and it will affect us to some degree. And kind of what I see here in this card is that I think it's going to actually help you feel better about everything, even about yourself. I think you might in some ways beat yourself up about not liking things about this person, but you haven't really figured out why. You might feel guilty for not liking them or getting frustrated with them, or it could even be sometimes when we get frustrated with people like this, we can say things or have reactions that aren't true to our higher selves. And I think that could happen from time to time. Even mental chatter, I think with this group, you feel guilty when you think really badly about people, and you can dislike this person, but then I think you're like, oh, I shouldn't be so mean, or something like that, or everyone else likes them, what's wrong with me, something around that. So I just feel like going deeper and seeing what it is really just going to bring this better, much more beautiful harmony to it all. And it is interesting that I am seeing that for whatever reason, this is going to reestablish more happiness and passion. Every time I see passion, I just think of it as like creative energy, playfulness, inspiration. It's like all those like really nice, beautiful feelings that really is what makes the human life so worth it. So it's really, really important. I really see that's going to be insightful, and I do think it is going to touch on a limiting belief the more I look at it, I'm getting all sorts of signs. I see mountains, very strong structures. It talks about like our roots, our foundational systems. So it's something in there, and it's just kind of hiding. I feel like you've gotten little clues where it might be coming from, but it just is going to take you actually reflecting to really figure it out, hit it on the nail, have that realization. Overall note, I really do think this is just going to be a really good time for this group. I mean, obviously there's always low and high points, but I just feel like the universe is really like trying to work with you to bring in more healing. Yeah, just all these words are really great. Dreams, dignity, luck, magnificence, healing yourself, knowing you're deserving, worthy of love. I should read this card. It says, we send great waves of love into your heart and mind, awakening your love for life itself. Your clear decision to accept and enjoy romance has triggered this reawakening. Allow yourself to spontaneously celebrate love in all its glorious aspects. So look at that, another thing about loving life again. And that's really maybe the words I was looking for when I say passion. It is just like that love for life, that excitement. If you can even think about like a time when you're younger, or even in your young adulthood, or maybe it was even a month ago where you just felt like that. They really want you to come back to that, because honestly, when we're feeling our best is when we do the greatest things, or we even just inspire others to be self-honoring and do those things. So I feel like if this pile is worried about it being selfish or not prioritizing themselves, they're just saying like, man, you help more people, you can do more when your cup is full and you're happy and inspired and in love with life again. Yeah, that was a little bit of a rant. I think that's all I have for you. It was just short, but I just really hope some of that clarified some things, validated a few messages. I really do think this pile is like really nice, gentle souls. I think sometimes you forget that. Yeah, they just want you to stop worrying so much about others and focus on finding the things you love to do, make you happy and excited. That's really going to reconnect you with your higher self, what you want, have clarity on where you're going, and it also gets you out of like those patterns, those cycles, the sometimes boredness that us as humans can fall into, because for whatever reason we like routine, but we also don't like it because we get bored. So doing the occasional random thing to recreate that inspiring thing, it usually involves getting a little bit uncomfortable, but then the reward at the end is just like that love for life, that like awe, that wow, that was scary and I lived through it and I crushed it. Yeah. Hope you guys have a good one. That's all I got. Yeah, enjoy your week. I'll see you guys soon. Hello, pile 2. Alright, you guys chose this piece of pink banded calcite. I really, really love this crystal. I mean, I love all my crystals, but I really love this one. It's just so cool to me. I don't know if it ever looks as cool over a video as it does in real life. I also just love the energy of it, and I feel like today I've been really called to tell people maybe why they're drawn to crystal, and maybe it will make sense why you might have picked that one. Banded calcite is really good for the heart chakra. It's really good at kind of releasing anger and frustration that might be there, or if you've found that you've been really quick to get angry or like flooded with emotions that aren't necessarily positive. It really works on that, because calcite is kind of like an energy healer and cleanser. So that's partially it, but also just with the colors in it and all the different layers and everything, it's just really good with bringing in happy energy, reminding you of your happiest moments, kind of like helping you shift mindsets and remembering what it's like to have a lighter heart and one that isn't heavy right now. So that's really good. It also is just very soothing for the overall energy system, And it really helps with, I guess I should say, the reason why it helps with anger and frustration is because it helps you see and have compassion for yourself and others. And it's not that you don't already have it, it just helps remind you of that, or have a little extra than you normally do or recently have had. Because, you know, humans, we're always changing. There could be periods where we're just missing a little bit of that based on the time we're going through. It's really hard to have lots of compassion if we're just feeling really bored or numb or hurt or angry or frustrated or anything like that. Isn't kind of the higher feeling, kind of puts us in our head and makes us have a little less compassion. How it helps us do that is it's really just helping you gain like a third party perspective or a higher sight, if you hear that all the time. In short, what it's saying is it will help you see your emotions, your perspectives in a situation, but also be able to respect that, see that, and then kind of put that in one spot and then look in the other spot, in another chair, or say in your mind, and say, this is the other person's emotions, perspective, and feelings, and they're also valid. And then being able to see that solution and the overall, like, what actually happened there, because you have all the information, or you have like that higher, deeper awareness and sight. So as you can see, that really helps in having more compassion for someone, because you understand where they're coming from. You know when you felt that way, you know how you would react in that similar situation, but then you're also respecting how you felt, and it just helps with better, clearer communication. And because a lot of us aren't great at communication, having that higher sight and having more compassion really helps with conflicts, because we don't always say everything's happening in our lives to everyone we meet, or even our family members. We're just not always great at expressing it, or not realizing other people don't realize what we're going through. So that's a little bit of a rant, but it also makes sense why I just love this so when I look at it, because it really does just bring soothing energy, happiness, overall energy, clearing, healing, but also soothing. You don't usually see soothing in there. It's usually just very clearing. So it's a very comforting stone. It's also just really pretty stone. Okay, we are, without further ado, going to get into your card reading. Okay, pile 2. I am getting a general theme here on the messages. It's definitely very heart-centered. It's kind of funny, pile 1 also had a crystal that was very aligned with what came out in the reading, and I think this is the same for you, pile 2, where everything this crystal represents is coming out in this reading. So if you're open to it, maybe you should consider having some pink bedded calcite. Obviously you don't have to. I just love crystals, so I always like to put it out there if people also like working with them. Pile has had a little bit of troubles with being fully seen as who they are, like on a true soul level. And it's come from a place of being hurt, or it's just like a very natural self-defense that this has come up. I have a few different things coming up on why it's there, but the overall message right now is just saying that if guys had a pretty guarded heart, it is a general reading. It is saying there could be a multitude of reasons. I think for some of you it's going to just be childhood related. I think some of you might even have moved around a lot, or maybe a lot of your good friends moved away, or there might have been some bullying in your younger days. even maybe still now as an adult. I think if that is true for the most of you, you've moved away from those types of people, because I'm really seeing that they're saying it's becoming safer now, and they keep getting it that it's really important that when you feel a little more guarded and more blocked off, it'd be really beneficial for this pile to tell yourself that was then, this is now, and to really put yourself back in the present and understand that you're not that version of yourself anymore. You're a strong person, and you aren't gonna ever be treated that way again, because you are very powerful, you are very independent, I think, is kind of an energy I'm getting from some of you. You've really gotten this far kind of relying on yourself, which isn't helping with this energy of not truly being seen. Some of you might actually have a problem with leaving the house without looking really good, and that could be having makeup or your hair done perfectly, dressed very nice, having to maintain this certain look. I think for some of you that is how you're kind of protecting yourself. Like, you might wake up in the morning not feeling great, but then you put on a face of makeup and you're like smiling, even though maybe you don't fully feel that kind of happiness. Some of you, it's just, I think you're uncomfortable with people like not dressing very modestly, and that's not a bad thing. It's just saying that this might help you connect with if this pile is accurate for you. I think for some of you, you might have grown up in a religious setting, and I think that could be why for some people in this pile too are having problems with opening up and being seen, because there are a lot of aspects, especially around sexuality and even like things you want. There's a lot of very, I don't want to say like this is true for everyone, but in some more strong, very conservative religious groups, there's lots of very limiting traditional gender roles that do affect us. Like if you're a girl who's more of a tomboy, if you liked having friends that were men, sometimes that isn't always acceptable. I mean, it's different for each group, but I just know that some are frowned upon. Same with men. Usually you are limited to only being allowed a range of emotions, and anything else is weak or unmanly. To do certain things is unmanly. To be just a little more expressive might not have been so acceptable. That's not everyone. It's just telling me there's a few different groups here. Some is just some form of traumatic, difficult childhood. So that could look like bullying, religious upbringings. I feel like for some of you it was foster systems, or just even having a very unstable or not very present parent. I know you're like, well, that's pretty much everything, but believe it or not, there's some people who just have really good upbringings and don't fall into any of those categories. But they're just saying all these would make sense for the guarded heart. It's too vulnerable to have people see you fully. And the angels here are wanting you to start to work towards being able to release that energy a little bit. It is interesting. There's definitely a lot of angels here. So whoever you are, maybe you don't currently know who you're working with, but I would say it's really angelic energy that they really are drawn to you and want to work with you. Obviously, everyone can work with angels, but some people like more the shamanic realm, or even like this astrologic realm. But for this group, the angels are really like, oh, I want to work with you. Please work with us. Yeah, if you didn't know that already, that is definitely something out there for you guys to consider. I am just seeing this. So they're saying that how you can start this process of reconnecting with your heart. And some of you might have a problem with feeling your feelings. Sometimes you might be stuck a lot in your head and what you should do, and like trying to logically reason out why you're doing something. That makes sense. If your heart is very guarded and very protected, you can be very disconnected. I am also seeing that your heart chakra and your root chakra are a little out of balance. There's just some blocks in there from growing up in this kind of environment, and unfortunately when we have a block in our heart and in our root, it usually makes all our other chakras a little out of whack, because those are just two very foundational ones. What that would look like is some of the chakras would be opening and closing. Like I think you can go from one extreme to the next, and it's not meaning even on an emotional level, it's just meaning maybe some days you find you don't have a lot to say, and other days you can't stop talking, but you're not feeling like you're ever really being heard, whether it's because you're not saying a lot, or whether it's you're saying so much people aren't listening. Another way that could look is some days you could feel so passionate, so like too many ideas, too much inspiration, it's like overwhelming, and then the next day you can not even feel motivated to get off the couch. Sometimes you might have like these amazing goals and like a clear view of how you want to get there, and then the next day you just can't find that motivation to get any of it started. There's lots of things like that. It's like kind of, I feel like for this pile, it's jumping from extreme to extreme, and it's just saying it's because there's a bit of this block in two very important chakras, that it kind of just makes the other ones try to compensate for the block. It's doing kind of wonky things. I would recommend some form of energy healing for this pile. I think I'm trying to think of the word. I've never personally done it, but I've heard of cranial sacral, I think is how you say it. Cranial sacral. You have to be careful. Some aren't as great as others, but I think for whatever reason that's gonna be really good for this group. I feel like some of you might get a lot of back pain, whether it's kind of in the shoulders, neck, or in the lower back. It's funny, as I said that, I'm like, oh, one of you might even have a metal plate. That's a very specific message that's not for everyone, but I think it's just saying sorry, I keep saying so much. You could ask Archangel Raphael and his healing angels to guide you to the best energy healer for you right now. Other than that, I also feel like acupuncture could be good, as long as they are someone who does acupuncture with energy kind of healing involved with it. I think it's just it's really good to do something where it's gonna get all your energy systems kind of working together and flowing together, because I mean, it's just so natural. We're never gonna always have that in flow. We just have too many things that happen in the human life. But it's just saying it'd be great if you could kind of help your body get there, because with these other blocks, it's a little bit hard for it to kind of be harmonized and synced. And just if you're like, well, why is that important? It's just so that you feel not so out of control, not so out of whack. You're going to feel more balanced. And I mean, emotionally, inspirationally, energetically, like just meaning like your actual energy to do things during the day. I feel like this group has so much fluctuation that you might have been asking yourself a lot lately, like, why is this happening? And it just seems really important to stress that it's not like, if other people have made you feel like it's just you being lazy or not being lazy, the angels are saying no, it really makes sense, because your chakra systems are just like overdoing it, and they close a bit because they're just so exhausted, they gotta recharge, and they're opening all over again, like way too big. So it's really hard on you on an actual energy level, and obviously just, yeah, not ideal. So if you're interested in trying to bring more balance, they are suggesting, seeing some kind of energy healer. Whatever kind of resonates with you, you can even just Google it and see what's out there and what feels good in your intuition. But I'm also thinking they want you to start energy shielding, because right now I don't know how to protect yourself energetically from other people and their emotions, their lower emotions, like people's anger towards you, which isn't always intentional. And I think you've put this wall or disconnection around your heart to kind of try to keep that out. But unfortunately, because there isn't any actual energetic barrier there, it's still kind of hitting it, but you're just disconnected to it a bit, so you're not feeling it as much. So it's just saying to try to shift into shielding your energy every day. So doing an energy shield in purple for this group, purple with gold. If you can picture maybe the outlining of it being gold and then purple within, I think that's going to be really good. It's really good against psychic attacks. Gold energy, I just always feel like is really, really great. I think of angels when I think of gold light around me, but that is my own personal opinion there. And they're saying they really need you to set the intention that you're going to be energy shielding so that you can start knowing that it's safe for you to reconnect with your heart, and it's just safe for you to be. It's really important. And it might seem strange to say that, but it's just, that is like, of all the cards I'm looking at, they're like, this one here is the most important. This one is so important, and it's saying it's important for you to set that intention, that you're going to make that commitment to yourself, that you're energetically shielding, and you are telling yourself, that was then, this is now, I'm safe to feel love, be loved, and I'm going to start this reconnection with my heart energy again. And I know that might sound strange, but it's very important. I even see this here where I just see her like trying to reach and reconnect with the heart. Yeah, there's definitely a few cards kind of pointing towards that, and that mask, that's going to help get rid of the mask. I mean, they never want you to quit cold turkey because it's very overwhelming, it's very scary, and then it'll just make you not want to try it again or fully stick with it. They're saying just start with these small steps and just see where you go from there. Baby steps do go far in the long run. This card is the one that keeps making me think about issues with maybe accepting compliments and receiving in general. So receiving could be saying yes when someone offers you, like, oh, do you want like a muffin or a coffee, is like a very common one where a lot of us will say, no, I'm good, thanks. But we're kind of like, oh, I would love a coffee, that'd be so good right now. Or you go and you're like, no, let me get the coffee. And they're just saying small things like that is going to be really great. For those who had a religious upbringing, there's a very strong message as well as reconnecting and knowing that it's safe, okay, and beautiful to be in your human body. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing to be guilty of or shameful of. And I feel like I just see that there's been a lot of peer pressure, purity culture that's come your way, and it's really just saying it's time to let go of that. That was then, this is now. You are now an adult. You are now old enough to know that you are just perfect the way you are. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, Adam and Eve didn't wear clothes. You know, like they said, like later they started to. They grew this shame. They're saying there's nothing to be ashamed of. God wouldn't actually want you to be embarrassed of the body. Like, it's a very human thing to create guilt and shame around the physical body of someone. Yeah. And I mean, that obviously also just applies to anyone in society, but there's just like a strong calling. I feel like someone who might have left Christianity, or maybe was previously Muslim, or his family's background is in some kind of religion like that, where the rules are a little more traditional and purity culture is pretty strong. They're saying if you thought that message wasn't for you, it is. It is very much for you. They see you, they see how you've been affected, and how you might have felt guilty or shameful for even the thoughts you might have had. I just feel like for some of you got some weird analogy around, there's a devil on your shoulder and there's an angel on one. who you're going to listen to. When you think this thought, you're listening to the devil. Like, I don't know. I can't quite explain exactly why, but they're just showing me that that's really important. Something around that was said to someone. Once again, that is very specific, so that might just be for one person, but it is important for that one person to hear. Okay, if you saw the children card, there's always a few meanings. When I see it, I've just set the intention that for me, when I see children in a reading, that is usually associated with the inner child and the wounding that happened to us, or the limiting beliefs put into us from our younger years. And I even think that sometimes that can be even young adulthood. It really depends on the life that you've had. Sometimes we are in the same environment until we're like 30 or even 40, and then we leave it and we're like, whoa, what happened? What happened? How did I never know that that wasn't okay? So it doesn't literally need to mean that it was only during your childhood, but that same kind of dynamics as you've experienced that were wounding. And when I see that it's red, it really is telling me that it is a limiting belief that came from, you know, unfortunately, our peers who may have given us that limiting belief, or that I feel like some of your, what is a limiting belief? It's something that ego creates. It's a fear, like, that maybe we're like too fat. Maybe being 10 pounds above the normal weight range means that you're too gluttonous and you eat too much food and you're lazy and you're not beautiful. And that's why you always have to be 20 pounds under the average weight limit. Like, that is not a true fact. That is not true. No scientific reason to have to be that skinny. But our peers give us that impression. So instead of being a healthy weight, we think we have to be like a very underweight. So that would be a limiting belief, to believe that you're just too fat right now, even though if you saw someone else your size, you wouldn't think they were fat. You might even think they're beautiful because they have like curves, like natural curves, not like curves that even mean they're overweight, or, you know, like that goes in all directions. Like I feel like weight is the most common one I see in people, both in men and women. I feel like it's been a really bad stereotype for it to be a woman's problem, because actually all the guys that I know are way more self-conscious than any girl I've ever known around their weight and having to have like an 8-pack or 12-pack, and because they don't, they just think they're undesirable. And I'm like, I don't know girls that just talk about guys having to have 12-packs. So it's very limiting belief that we put on ourselves and each other. So it doesn't have to be weight related. I think with here, there's a lot of emotions. I think a lot of it is around how pure were you, how good of a girl were you, how good of a person were you, how obedient you were. And like I said, that doesn't just mean it's religious related. Society also has put a lot of pressure on us to be that way. Yeah, so this is just saying, this is where this heart guardedness has come from. If you're wondering what that whole rant is about. And they're telling me that because of this block in the heart and being a bit trapped, also the block in the root chakra, so in your belief systems and what you were kind of taught growing up or in your young adulthood, or even an event, like if you had a really big event that caused a lot of shame or guilt, whatever belief that came from that is kind of keeping you in the past. So if you find that sometimes you might be a little more, that's the word I'm looking for, like quick to jump to anger or frustration or annoyance with people, they're saying it's because this past thing pops up and it's like almost like stuck there. So it's like, even though you're in the present situation, it reminds you in some way of something that's happened in the past that didn't turn out very good for you. So you're almost like being triggered to defend yourself, and the defense is coming off as a bit angry, frustrated, or annoyed, and it's not really true to who you are. And they're just saying to shift that, because that really isn't your true self. It is going to involve starting to energy shield, reconnect with that heart, and kind of reconnect with that inner child, and that might seem like a lot, but just kind of reflecting, try listening to podcasts, books. Audiobooks are great. You can see counselors, you can join groups with people. I keep thinking for those who have overcome like certain traumas, there's lots of different groups out there or resources. If you just Google it, it's the beauty of having even the validation to know that you weren't wrong, and then look at steps so that you can start shifting that, so that when you're triggered or you find your mind going into the past or thinking about these events, you have tools to bring you back to the present, and that's just going to help you not be as reactive. And I want to be careful with that word because it doesn't always mean it's a negative thing. It could just be you don't talk anymore. It could be that you just always leave the room or leave relationships as soon as conflict comes up. Those are all very like related to that kind of defense. And it's obviously very hard to have very deep loving connections when the past blocks are just popping up and keeping us there. And if you bring this into your awareness, this might help you kind of connect everything and see maybe why these things are happening. And the main message just keeps coming back that that's not your true self. This is just the human way of surviving things in the past. So it's having that realization that you don't need those tactics anymore. You're safe. You are a much stronger individual. It's okay to start releasing those things. So that means that's also what makes me think it'd be really great to see an energy healer. They could help clear any blocks that are stuck in the body, maybe any limiting belief words that you might have like put in there. Like if you made promises as a kid, like I will never do that again, that actually can create little contracts with ourselves or little blocks and spots in our bodies because we're trying to protect it, and it's left like actually this energetical block. So energy healers are really great with breaking that down a little bit quicker, but you can also always work on these things on your own. I feel like with this is a pretty big block and there's already a lot for you to work on. That might be nice to be like, hey, energy healer, can you help me with this? And it will just make everything a little bit easier for you, or you won't feel so blocked to even get it going and started. Okay, so I did want to read this. So I should read the first thing. So this is from the well-being deck that I have. So it says, what's my big hurry? It's all for joy, all is well. So that made me really think about how this stone's really good for bringing in happiness and reminding us of how soothing and lighthearted we can be when we're just happy. It says, what's the big hurry? You're not ever going to get it done, so what are you racing towards? Every single activity that you're involved in is for one purpose only, and that is to give you a moment of joy. That's why it all exists. Lighten up, laugh more, appreciate more, all is well. Yeah, so that's really saying how us as humans, we get really caught up in making it, just surviving, and then we forget that we do things just for the absolute joy of it, just for the thrill and the excitement and the gratitude of being alive. And I always think about if you've done something that was a little bit scary or something, but not in like you were actually going to get hurt way, but say you went down a really steep slide and you're so scared, but then you did it and it was like so fun, you run up and do it again. Or I was saying in pile 1 where if you ever go snow sledding or tobogganing as a kid, it's so scary, but then it's the funnest thing ever. Skiing might bring that. I think there's, I guess, a lot of things, you know, maybe that's why people even go jump out of planes or stuff like that. I'm not saying it has to be that extreme, but they're saying to remember that, like, it is actually here to have fun and just experience those fun things, but we can really get caught up in the grind and making it. Okay, so this one says, no one else needs to know this. It is not necessary for even one other person to understand these laws of the universe. For you are the attractor of your experience, just you. So this is actually kind of commenting on like some of you who feel like maybe it's silly to want something, that people are going to make fun of you, that say if you're like, oh, I'm energy shielding now, I'm trying to reconnect with my heart chakra, my heart energy, I'm saying affirmations around how I'm beautiful and I deserve love and I cherish my body. They're like saying, if you're worried about what everyone else is thinking, you just don't gotta tell them. Like, they're gonna see based off of how you're improving, how much happier you are, how much more comfortable you are in your own body. I think actually confidence is gonna be very positively affected for this group. And I just keep seeing that, see a lot more harmony and a lot more love in your life, both for yourself and being able to accept it from others. Because you won't be quite as guarded, as worried about people maybe coming in and hurting you, or people leaving, or people getting to know you and maybe using it against you. There's lots of this kind of energy here, and I'm really not trying to make anyone feel guilty for it. I'm just saying it's a very normal human response, especially nowadays. A lot of people end up ghosting people because they get too scared to say the wrong thing or give someone the wrong idea. So it's really just saying you guys are going to be good. Okay, so last card here. I look for positive aspects in every experience, and it is saying that this is going to be very healing for you. Doing gratitude lists or verbally appreciating the things in your life more. It's more powerful when we say it out loud or write it down. But you can also just think it in your head. That's also great. Within every particle of the universe is that which is wanted and lack of it. By looking for the positive aspects of whatever you are giving your attention to, you maintain your connection to well-being. So that's just really talking about manifestation. If we're only seeing all the negative things in the day, then we have a habit of kind of attracting that energy in or focusing on it. And I've heard people say that before, but I've seen it in other people where a lot of people were willing to offer that person help, but they were so stuck on the fact that everything bad happened to them, like they could never catch a break. And I mean, some bad things happened, but I just kept thinking, if they'd just taken the help that like I had offered, or that a bunch of other friends had offered, all these things that kept piling up on the negative wouldn't have happened. But they were just so closed off. They were so focused on only bad things happening that they didn't really let in the good. And I don't know, it was actually a very good lesson for me to see how I've done that in my own life. And I think we all do it, where it's just hard to be like always seeing the good, right? It's just very hard to see that when we're not feeling great or great things haven't happened recently. So they're saying by shifting to the good stuff, whether it's just like your lunch tasted so good, the sun is shining and it's so beautiful outside, and you're so grateful that it's such nice weather, it's a really good coffee you've got, your tea, it's just amazing. Like, if it's really hard, just like pick those small things, where if you notice a lot of people are like, oh, the weather today isn't great. You don't want to be saying stuff like that. You want to be saying the nice things. Road conditions are amazing while driving. Yeah, I hope that gave some context here. But I think that's more or less all I had for you. Slowly start to kind of break down that guard you have and start letting in more love and reconnecting more with your heart. A lot of good stuff is going to start coming in. I feel like you're going to start noticing like people might be more generous towards you or more kind towards you, and it's going to throw you off at first, but then they're saying this is just a sign that this is working. Like, maybe people are giving more compliments, or people are looking at you and really just wanting to hear what you have to say. And I think it's gonna be really good, but you're gonna be like, what's happening here? Is this like real? You might be skeptical, but they're saying this just because when you open yourself up to receiving the love of the universe, it's really gonna change things. Yeah. Okay, well, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoy your week, and I'll catch you soon. Hello, pile 3. You guys chose this dendritic, I hope I'm saying it right, I think it's dendritic jasper tower. It's really cool. If you can tell, it kind of looks like fossilized plants, but it's not. It's apparently like iron deposits or something within the jasper, but it's really cool. It's really good for if you felt like you've lost your sense of purpose, or like, why are you here? You feel disconnected from the rest of the world, kind of isolated, just overall kind of feeling lost. It's a really good crystal to help with that. It's just also very pretty. Yeah, all right, let's get into your guys' reading. Pile 3. So I am right away noticing I saw this card here that says life purpose. The purpose of your life is to serve in a way that brings great joy to yourself and others. Don't worry about finding your purpose. Instead, focus upon serving a purpose, and then your purpose will serve you. So that as well went really well with the crystal that you were drawn to for this pile. I am seeing that it's just trying to help you kind of find your way again, find the thing that inspires you. There is a little bit of a block in your crown chakra, it's saying, in receiving those intuitive nudges and inspiration from your guides. All those things are easy to fix though. So for this pile, I did see the power animal card. That is saying that you guys could be more drawn to the shamanic realms. There's actually, I think, a lot of YouTube meditations these days on how to journey to get your power animal. I'm not positive about that, but I do think there is a few that could really help. They're kind of like these guides and protectors that are with you for life and keep you safe, and give you advice. So really good resource to connect with and have you figure out who you are and what you're passionate about. And then that all being said, I did see this cancel, clear, delete. It says use only positive words and thoughts as they're rapidly manifesting into form. Ask the angels to cancel the effects of past negative thinking. That's just a really good way to say, a lot of times we get in these habits of like saying like, oh, I just don't know what I'm gonna do, I'm not very good at things, or I never get this right. They're saying that when you catch yourself saying things like that, stop and just say, okay, I'm canceling that thought, I'm clearing it from the brain, and I'm deleting that file forever. And it's just kind of like a way to say, oh, I didn't mean that, that was just an old habit or pattern coming up. Let me rephrase it. And then after, just say, I'm getting better and better every day, or every day I understand this better, or I know myself better. You just kind of replace it with a positive affirmation or statement. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. And I'd also just like to add in, if any of you are open to cord cutting, that would be really good. I think for this pile, sometimes it would be good to cord cut with yourself, which is a funny thing to say, but it just, the way I'd see it is it'd be you cord cutting with your expectations of yourself, your beliefs on who you should be or shouldn't be. And how you do that is you just visualize yourself in a green bubble, and you could cut cords, or some people like to visualize like a cord going from their heart into their back. And it doesn't always look really good because those are usually the ones that form when we have negative self-talk. So you could just picture cutting that off on both ends and then asking them to send healing energy there in your heart and in your back. Yeah, like I said, only do stuff if it resonates with you, but that's a little bit of suggestion for someone here. When I saw the books card, I kept thinking, so here it says your life purpose involves writing, reading, editing, or selling spiritually based books. That could be true for some people, but I think for you guys, you really just enjoy getting lost in a good book, whether it's educational or it just inspires you and makes you feel like anything's possible. Maybe you just need the reminder to read more books, whether maybe it's even audiobooks. Maybe you guys drive a lot and you listen to them. But it's definitely something that's been important to you guys, and it is coming up in this reading because they say it does something good for you. I really do think though it like helps you feel connected to kind of that like that adventure, that possibility side of life. And the fairy card here just says you have a strong bond with the fairies and your life purpose involves helping Mother Nature. So I think that could be the same thing about kind of saying connecting with these guides that want to work with you is really going to help you find that higher purpose, that soul purpose. Fairies are really great. They help with being more playful, having more fun. Self-love is a pretty big one, really reconnecting with the inner child. And yeah, they're just really great guides, I find. Usually they just have such their own unique spin on things. Not that other guides can't be funny, but usually that's like the primary personality traits of fairies, is that they'll give you a message, but they'll usually give it to you in a very lighthearted, funny way, or whatever they can do to kind of get you to giggle. So they're very beautiful energies to work with. And yeah, for you, I think they're going to be very healing and they're going to help you see things differently. So that's definitely why that one's coming up. And I do keep thinking they're going to help you transform into the version of yourself you want to be. That's what they want to help you with. Obviously, just connecting with them isn't going to be the end all be all, but that's their goal, is to help you get there. And then I see these two sacral and heart chakra blocks. Interesting. I can't remember if pile 1 also had a heart chakra block, but pile 2 had these exact same 2 blocks. Pile 1 also had a sacral chakra block, so I think it might just be a thing that's going on in the universe right now, as all of us are having some troubles there. It basically just means finding our passion, having more fun, doing the things that kind of inspire us and remind us what it is to be human, is just to kind of do the things that are just for joy. And you know what, it kind of makes sense this time of year. We're getting close to the holiday season. We start to want to work more before it gets a little more quieter in the January, February months, so that could be it. Obviously, you can be watching this reading at any point, but I do find just as general as humans, we tend to always think we've got to work, got to make it, and then we forget to just enjoy the actual human part of this life. So I think that has been a really big message for everyone lately. And also is saying you are highly sensitive to chemicals, additives, processed foods, and energies right now. Respect your sensitivities by avoiding harsh items, situations, and relationships. So that could be a message for some of you. Maybe you've had a lot of like skin rashes or bloating, digestive upset. For some reason, I keep thinking maybe for some of you have a lot of issues around your eyes, like maybe, what is that called? It's when you get really bad dry skin around your eyes. I can't remember. Or puffy eyes. And they're saying, you know, right now you just might be a little more sensitive to maybe like a detergent or soap you've always used. Cleaning products, it can be pretty hefty in the chemicals, so if you've become a little more sensitive to things like that, those would be really reactive. And maybe you've just kind of been on the go a lot, maybe you're just eating out a little bit more, and they're just saying try to be mindful of what you're eating. Your body isn't really liking that. Yeah, so it just says respect your sensitivities by avoiding harsh items, situations, and relationships. So it could even be that some of you, I mean, I did see this cord cutting and cancel, clear, delete card. Some of you might have some people that aren't the most supportive or make you feel the greatest. It could just be those people who are constantly putting other people down because they have insecurities. That unfortunately is very common here in society. So it's just be safe, maybe stay distant from those people as much as you can and cut cords with them. You can also put them in a little energy bubble, a little white energy bubble, if someone's not being very nice or they're like affecting their environments with all this chaotic energy. You can ask the angels to put them in a little white bubble, like we call it like white light too, so that their energy isn't allowed to affect other people, but it doesn't do anything bad to them. It's just saying like, okay, they can't come out until they kind of have a better attitude and they're not creating all this chaos in their environments. So that might be a good one for some of you. Yeah, being more open to giving and receiving, that will help you receive more of this intuitive guidance, this kind of from the angels and guides. I do think it is a block. That is totally normal. You see that a lot, actually. A lot of us have beliefs around not being deserving of receiving help or having to do things on our own, or that it's greedy to receive help. So we have like these blocks around receiving. The best way to kind of start working on that is to notice when you're saying no to the small things. Start saying yes, even if it's hard. So I kind of think of like compliments. If someone gives you a compliment and you're always like, no, notice that a lot of people are literally push their hand away. Like they're like literally pushing the energy of the compliment and the niceness away. Like, no, that's not true. And they do say like the best thing you can do is, even if it's really hard, just try to say thank you instead of thank you but, or I don't know. And then if you're really, really good and you're feeling comfortable with that, try taking your hand and bringing it towards your heart. So you're like taking in that compliment and putting it in your heart, and you're just saying thank you. That's good. It's like showing yourself that you are literally okay with that compliment happening. And then you can also start by just saying an affirmation like, I'm willing and deserving and worthy of receiving love. And you usually just say love because it comes in all forms. So you could even say in all forms of love or all forms of abundance, whatever you kind of like, but it does have to include that you're deserving. I always like to add worthy and willing to accept or receive, because previously we might not have believed we were worthy, we might have not have personally been willing to accept it, and we just, yeah, I just like to add the double with the deserving and worthy because those ones go good. But like I said, it's up to you. You do whatever you like and whatever kind of resonates with you. This card over here says, be honest with yourself, look into your heart, and you will know the truth of this situation. It's safe to admit the truth to yourself, for we will support and guide you through any necessary changes. Lean upon us for courage and let the strength to take good care of yourself. Focus only upon your true desires, and they'll come to you upon angels' wings. So this is asking you to ask the angels for their help. Don't forget to do that. You don't have to take everything on your own. They are calling on you to reconnect with yourself and in that heart center, the gut, and ask yourself what do you want, what do you need help with, what are you really feeling, and then go to them and say, hey, can you help me with this? And you can even ask them like, will you help take the burden of this fear, shame, guilt, whatever kind of lower feelings, it could be anger from me, help me carry that, or whatever it is. They really do like helping release people from energy, from emotions. Like I said, though, it's not like the end all be all, but they do just like to try to help take off any layers that they can for people so that they can grow quicker, see things clearer, feel better. They're basically just here because they want to help everyone be the best persons they can be and feel better. I do feel like for some people in this group, you've had a habit of holding yourself back, and that could just be on what you say to other people or really going for what you want. And it's a general card reading, so it might not be for everyone, but that message is here saying the angels want you to really take time to stop and reflect, because you might not even realize there's something you've always wanted that you've thought about a lot but you haven't quite gone for. And I just would really like you to be okay with doing that and knowing that you're deserving of it. Okay, I'm just gonna pull one more advice card here. 1, 2, 3. How do you need to know? I really want this one for some reason. Okay, so it says it's important not to get stuck in therapy. Therapy is a necessary boat that takes you across a rough river to a new shore. In time, though, you will step out of the boat and onto earth and never look back. It's kind of an interesting card. Wasn't really expecting it. And I'm just going to pull this one too, and it says, constantly maintain alertness in walking, sitting, eating, and sleeping. You don't always need to meditate to keep your attention in the present time. Simply be aware. Alert also serves your intuitive voice by keeping you focused and receptive. Continuous alertness is your task today. Ooh, so that's actually a really good one. That is something that we as human beings will probably never get perfect, but instead of getting caught up in what we should have done or what happened in even like 5 minutes ago, an hour ago, the day before, or what we're trying to do, or like calendars of what's got to go on, they're saying just try to just be in the now. So I find 4 deep breaths help. It's like being kind of triggered. It's sometimes best just to say to yourself, that was then, this is now, and then be like, what is happening now? Yeah, just trying to realize and have that awareness that you are switching from different tenses in time, even though you are currently physically just in the present. Like I said, it's kind of like that thing where even the perfectest human will still have moments where they aren't in the now. But we strive to be in the now because that's when we see things the clearest, feel the most aligned with things, are the most open to what's coming in because we're not distracted. Okay, well, that was kind of a short reading. Yeah, very interesting. I'm going to say I think that's going to help with the heart chakra block, is being more present. Say that you're ready to receive things, you're here and then now, open to receiving. Because if you are in the past, it's hard to give you good things in the now energy because you're stuck in the past, or vice versa with the future. They're always trying to give it to you in the future, but then the future is never arriving. And I think this card is really trying to point that out. Okay. Yeah. All right, I know that was a really quick reading, but I hope it gave you some clarity, some answers to some questions. You might have been wondering about what's been going on lately, what's up. Yeah, so I will see you soon. See you next week.